Yep.
All right. Okay. So welcome to AHF session. We have had 54 sessions so far, 89 guest speakers, and 2 or 3 members landed jobs. And we have 2,200 plus members counting on LinkedIn. We're really grateful for this awesome growth. And sad though, and the same thing that we are in this industry where it's tough. So hopefully all these sessions have been helpful to everyone. Um, we These are some stats we want to share with everyone. If you can see, we need some love on YouTube, Instagram. There's not many followers, so if you can please help us and just click that follow button, subscribe button, that would tremendously help the organization. And also Teams community members compared to how many LinkedIn members are, really there is a lot of skew. So you can also get to know everyone on that Teams community and really start helping each other out. It's open to everyone, so you can join. All right. And with further ado, I want to introduce to you with Christopher. As many of you know, our mission here is to uplift and support those pursuing new career paths, fostering accountability, and instilling hope for a brighter future. Today, we are joined with someone who truly understands how to bridge the gap between high skill hiring and human side of career transitions. Chris is certified professional career coach, a member of Force Coach Council, a U.S. Navy veteran. He brings us over a decade of experience as a talent advisory partner, having worked with major organizations like Cisco and Dow Jones. More than his awesome LinkedIn profile and impressive resume and all these titles, Chris is here to challenge us how we look at our professional journey. He is currently building a new program called Work by Design. His core philosophy is that we need to move beyond old linear corporate structure and instead focus on building a professional brand. He doesn't like the word personal brand, and there's a story he will share probably with you. Uh, he helps people who have hit plateau in to reorganize the career and utilize the unique skills to branch out new opportunities. Before I hand over the floor to him, Chris shared really awesome golden piece of advice to me a couple days ago, yesterday actually as well. I want to share that he touches on that today. That idea that day after you lose a job, you don't stop. You go back to work on yourself and turning your expertise into turning your expertise into your own operational support system. Chris, we are really grateful for your time and you joining today. Floor is yours. If you want to share something which will help everyone out in this journey.
No, thank you very much for that introduction. I had to look around a minute and make sure, is he talking about me? So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. That story, I'll just very quickly highlight that story. That was from a gentleman who's a CEO now of, I think, a 300 some odd million dollar company. And I asked him during a meeting a couple of years ago, and we were sitting down, I was going to try and fill some roles for him. And I said to him, have you ever experienced a job loss? Have you ever been laid off or anything? He said, of course I have. I said, okay. So what did you do the next day? And he said to me, and he looked me straight in the face, and I'll never forget this. And he said, I went back to work. And that hit me in such a sense, like, well, what do you mean? Because immediately you start going, well, how'd you go back to work? You got laid off, and 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 5, right? So he started explaining. He said, well, my charge for the company was to represent the organization and continue operations as I saw fit to better the company. He took that mentality and flipped it on its head and said, okay, well, now I'm the product and I have to go out and call people up, let them know that I'm a professional in this space. I can solve some challenges for you. But that always stuck with me, that the mindset of this guy who now lost 17 years and decided the next day, all right, going back to work. And now to take charge of his own career was just so profound, and it always stuck with me. And I was mentioning that yesterday. So I just wanted to give you a little context around that story. But thank you very much, everyone, for having me. As Rahul said, I'm a certified professional career coach, 3-year member of the Forbes Coaches Council, and I've spent about 11 years in talent acquisition. on both the internal as well as the external side, hiring for agencies. Some of the large companies I've worked with from a talent advisory perspective are Dow Jones, Cisco, Capital One, BMW, to help them scale their teams as quickly as possible, but also increase operations within their talent community and try to keep them. Everybody in the talent community, our major job is to entice people to come work for our organization and then keep them there. So as you guys are thinking about your career and going into the next job, try to put yourself in the mindset of what is a recruiter's job when you're going there. You want to align to that and saying, okay, well, they have to bring in the best of the best. I have to show that I'm the best of the best. Okay, they have to represent the company. We all know that there are times that they're over-representing the company and saying, this is the best company on the planet. But again, flipping that to you're presenting yourself. All right. So I wanted to kind of, I was thinking about how to provide the most value to you guys. And I know that, it's a time right now when you're between jobs and you're going, where's my purpose lie? What am I supposed to be doing? I'm watching LinkedIn. I'm seeing all this information. Everybody and their mother's a career coach. Everybody's a recruiter. How do you even know where to start? So in thinking of that, I said, okay, well, let me break this down into categories. And one of the categories that we all fit into when we go into a new job search is called career transition. That's a category that was defined back in I think it was 1957, but don't quote me on that. But a career transition was just that. It was people that were starting to look at in the 50s when moonlighting became very popular. That even that term, moonlighting, everybody's heard that term, became popular in the 50s because people needed to make ends meet. That was when we started to see a shift in the American economy where you started to need more money to be able to sustain your lifestyle. So that's where this kind of starts from, and it starts to mold into people really going into a career transition. So just keep in mind that that's the category that you are in, or that's the piece that you are in right now, is career transition. Okay, what does that mean to you? And does that even make any sense? Yes and no. The yes part is because it's going to reframe the way you're looking at your job search. Okay, all the skills that you've been taught that the recruiters are looking for, the keywords, all the, can you support a team of 8 people? Can you drive revenue? Right now, I'm going to tell you the most honest thing that anybody can ever tell you. Forget about that. That's so easy to achieve with AI, with Notebook LM, one of my favorite tools, by the way. You can start to contour your job descriptions in your resume in such a manner that it'll directly match what the first, third, second, all those key bullet points in the job description are saying. That's the easy part. What people are really looking and hiring for, from my purview, these are the hiring managers I'm talking to. They want to know that someone has business acumen. They understand this transition and the shift that we're in. All these companies spent a lot of money. So now they're trying to figure out, how does this all work? Everybody's been telling me AI is going to fix everything. No. So the major point of them hiring is business acumen, aptitude, and culture fit, which really is the buzzword of personality. That's all it is. We've been doing this, the talent acquisition field and the recruiting field has been around since just after World War II. And I can tell you with confidence that the main reason that people have hired for is not the experience. It's whether you gel well with the culture of the team and can you drive business performance forward. That's as straightforward and not bull crappy or lying to you as best as I can. That's what people are looking for. The money's already spent. The budgets are already there. It's all been approved last October. So when you're in this career, I want to kind of track back. When you're in this part of this journey that you're in career transition, keep those things in mind, the business acumen. As you're looking at these job descriptions, right? You're going to see all these things, responsibilities, what you're going to be doing, what you bring to the table. I want you to focus on the top 3 to 5. Because I've written a lot of job descriptions and I've gone to hiring managers as a talent advisor and said, what's the most important thing that you need? what they say next is usually a laundry list that they know from the person that was in that job before. That's where they're dragging that from. They have to define something. Now, keep in mind, these hiring managers, they have a job to do. Interviewing and talking to job seekers is not their primary responsibility. So they need to be able to communicate that from their memory of who they brought on. So if you're doing your job search and there's a target company or a job you really want, start looking at people that may have had that position before you. Okay, because a lot of what you see on their LinkedIn profile is going to be the marker that the hiring manager is going to be looking for. If you can contour into that, if the role is a backfill, you're going to land your chances to go on much heavier than that. Rahul, if you'll grant me a little bit of grace, I just want to touch base on what Shubham said earlier.
Yes.
You mentioned about the increase of volume in applications and how that won over for you and how that was kind of a major changing factor. And first off, congratulations on that. But I want to challenge that perspective of thinking that volume in this market is more. And the reason I want to challenge that is because that's exactly the opposite of what's happening. Not by your fault. You're not supposed to know this. This is just TA. We see what comes in. There's been a lot of international organizations that were tied to talent acquisition or recruiting that decided to create an offering for the US job market through proxy agencies in the US to be able to get them to reverse recruit. What I mean by reverse recruiting, what they're doing is they're saying, okay, well, with AI and automation, I can get your resume out to 150 companies in a matter of 20 minutes, and it'll only cost you X. That's exactly why we're in the problem that we're in today. Because hiring managers, recruiters are getting an influx of resumes thrown at them from 65 companies doing this. So in a sense, we've gone back to recruiting the way we did it before because of the amount of applications that are coming in. We can't trust that the way the change managers or the product owners have changed AI within recruiting, we can't trust yet that it's pulling out the best talent. Remember what I said before, we need to know that we're making the best hire. So congratulations on that new position, but I just want to, for everybody else listening, just keep that in mind because that is a business model that has taken hold with a lot of these people out of work. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So how do we combat that, right? Moving on to the second category of that transition is when you're doing business development. Business development, anybody who's been in sales here knows that business development is the action of prospecting for new revenue or new business. You're doing the exact same thing as a job seeker. Okay, you're prospecting. I always tell people all the time to try before your job search to put down about 15 to 20 companies that you want to work for. That no matter what, if you got the job, no matter where you are, you would leave without question and go work for that company. The reason why is because that's going to give you a reason to keep getting up and keep fighting and keep going for that. It's a subliminal mind trick that you're giving yourself. It's something that you want. You're going to fight for it. You're not going to leave it as, thank you, we've moved on and picked other candidates. You're not going to let that slide because it's something you really want. And that's what changes the job search in that. So write down 15 to 20 companies. If you can only get to 10, walk around your house with a paper and pencil. It's a pretty safe bet that if any of the companies that you've purchased from and invited into your home, safe bet you'd enjoy working for them. You're already a fan. You have stake in the game, right? So that would be your starting point. And as you're going into the transition of the second phase or the second category of business development, that's where you're going to start. Okay. On LinkedIn, if you're doing your job search specifically on LinkedIn, you're not using ZipRecruiter or any of the other ones. LinkedIn presents you with a pretty unique opportunity because you can find out exactly who the team that you're potentially going to be working for is for free, mainly. Can't find out all the deep stats until you go to the premium, but that gives you a great starting point to start getting in with the team, right? Now, if you're applying to this job and you're reaching out to the hiring manager and you're sending a connection request And then moving on with your day, problem number one. You have to track a lot of these things, especially now, because like I said, over flooding, those people, the recruiters, they're forgetting about you. It's not anything personal to you. It's just they're forgetting because there's so many people. So you have to remain top of mind. You almost have to force them to know that Jimmy is the best hire for this position. There's no other one. Christian's the best hire. Chris, Edith, they're the best hires. The buck stops with you guys. You have to ensure them that there's confidence there. And that's where that business acumen comes in. Send a connection request that specifically ties to the function that you're going to do, right? If I'm a product manager or I'm a talent acquisition person, I'm not going to say, well, I get along great with teams and I'm a wonderful person to work with and I really enjoy engaging with my team. So does everybody. However, I can increase your retention from 4.2 years to 6.5 years and reduce your overhead value cost to from $250,000 per head count. I can drop it down to 180 per head count and still keep the retention numbers. Now they're starting to think. Now they're going, well, that's the problem. Everybody's leaving. I need to keep my staff here. So start thinking about what you bring to the table, accountant, product manager, project, whatever. Bring that to the table. That's your value proposition. All right, I'm going to take a sip of water here because I'm yapping too much. Okay. If I'm going too fast, I'm sure Rahul's monitoring the chat or Jimmy's monitoring the chat. Just, tell me slow down or whatever the case may be. As we're moving into that application phase, the numbers, and Shubham, I'm going to pick on you again. I'm sorry, man, but 30 applications, I wouldn't recommend doing 30 applications per day. Just because of your own, it's going to drive you nuts because 30 per day, depending on whether you're using a tracking system, a spreadsheet, or anything like that, you're going to drive yourself nuts. The object here is to build on momentum. Okay, so 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, if you have children, you have to get your kids off to the bus. 9 o'clock to noon is your application time. Whatever you get done in that time, which most likely wouldn't be 30 if you got to refill them out, get those done until noon and then stop. The afternoon, just like many companies, again, this is about aligning with the companies too. So you're doing the same momentum because we lose that when we get out of work and we forget, like from 9 to 10, I had something to do, From noon and the afternoon should be networking component. So after you've identified who those hiring managers are, you've got the team, you're starting to send connection requests. Start positioning yourself as part of that team. Look on their LinkedIn profile. Maybe they're a 49ers fan. Maybe they're an Eagles fan. Maybe whatever. Find a connection request and be more human and say, hey, I applied for this position. I noticed that this is a team. You guys have been on my radar. Love to connect with like-minded individuals. No sale, no ask. Just wanted to connect with people that are like-minded. Start building that community. So when the first thing that the recruiters are going to do and the first thing that the hiring managers are going to do once they know your name is they're going to check your LinkedIn profile. And immediately right on top there, it shows who you're connected to together. If you're connected to a lot of those team members and you have a great affinity for those team members, it just makes sense that hiring manager is going to say, well, this person knows everybody on the team anyway. What are we doing here? Make it easy for them. It's just like a sales call. If they request a resume, whatever the case may be, make it easy. You're creating business development momentum. You're selling your premium skills to the best companies in the marketplace identified by you to deliver to the next 4 to 6 years of your career path until you move on to the next thing that's a $10,000 increase. See how the sequence, it really is a straightforward sequence of what you're doing, and it very much mirrors the sales industry. And I know it's hard because some people are like, well, I'm not a liar. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not into like blustering things up. That's not the point. You're not selling in the fact of you're trying to deliver snake oil or anything like that. You're selling the culmination of X amount of years of you working your butt to the bone to get these skills to be able to deliver them to this company. Okay. So again, that mindset shift has to take place. And again, any one of us, like, I mean, once I found out about this community, I'm willing to help out any of you guys and just walk you through anything if you have any questions. Remember that this community, Mark, I saw that yawn, knock it off you. In this community, just recognize that everybody's here to help each other. There are no stupid questions. These are, everybody has a different background, I'm assuming here, and you're all experts in that background. Leverage each other. If you don't know about engineering, reach out to somebody here about engineering if you need a product change, whatever the case may be. Okay. All right. So that business development component, that's basically just a recap. We're starting off with defining what you want. Then we're moving into business development, which is obtaining what you want. Now we got to move into closing. So here's where the interviews come in. All right. So the biggest problem I'm seeing in interviews right now is candidates are going into interviews and waiting. They're looking at the person that's interviewing them, doing their niceties. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. And then waiting for question and answer time. Those days of interviews are long gone. Nobody wants to just have conversation. It's part of it, yes, because you're bringing down the walls. But the interviewers need to know and need to feel without a shadow of a doubt that you're the one that can get the problem done with them. So what's happening or what's working in interviews? The biggest shift that's happening in interviews is workshopping or master classing. Both major buzzwords we've heard from the last couple of years for many different reasons. But the object of these type of interview styles is when you're going in, you already have the strategy. You already know from the job description what the challenge may be. And remember, you're in there to solve that challenge. Okay. So from the moment one, after your niceties, you want to ask a little bit of a question and saying, I noticed from the job description, this might be a challenge area that you guys are having. Is that correct? Ask for that feedback. What you're doing is you're planting and you're setting the rhythm in the interview. A lot of people are thinking like they have to let the interviewer command the interview. No, that's actually not the right way to do it. The interviewer is supposed to go in there and ask questions and get your presentation of your skills. You command the interview, not the interviewer. Okay. So again, when you go in there and you're talking about this workshop, you start taking your notes, find out if you're on track with the challenge. Is that the challenge as best you understand it? Then start bringing up a few things. Well, that's great. I recognize that. In my last company, we had a similar problem and we did X, Y, and Z to kind of fix that. Have you guys tried that recently? Maybe he didn't, maybe she did, doesn't matter. What you're doing is you're getting that back and forth going in a much more productive manner, and you're hitting everything that hiring manager knows is a problem area. You're creating the on-target interview. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. You're kind of driving that interview, and in your mind, you're leading that person. You know, the ultimate goal is to walk out and know that you got a second round or you got an offer letter. No matter what happens, that's your goal. You don't care about anything else. You want to make sure you got an offer letter, continue your lifestyle, a fair amount of wage, and move on with your life, right? So by asking those questions and workshopping this, what do you think that hiring manager is going to do with the next couple people that he's waiting for in the interview room? He's going to ask his assistant or the coordinator if he can reschedule those, because now you've become much more valuable. You're talking in the interview, you're fixing the problem for free, mind you, in that room with them, real time. That's much more value. So they're going to ask those people if they can reschedule those interviews. You just brought your chances up for a hire up by about 10 to 15%. Okay. On the back end of all this is that horrible C word that none of us like to hear. Confidence. You're going to have to present some confidence. So wherever we are, I know that we're out of work. I know that the purposelessness hits and you start thinking like, oh my God, am I ever going to have any type of use? I need you to stare at yourself in the mirror and get over it. And I don't mean to be a jerk. I'm ex-military. That's what they told me. I was a big fat boy when I went in. They made me a road guard and said, get over it. And they made me run ahead the division and stand there and block traffic while everybody marched through because I was the fat boy. So we got to get over it and we got to get to the goals. So I apologize for that. All right. All right. So as we're going into the interview, like I said, as we go through that, we want to mark where the confidence is. We want to mark how we're fixing it, how we're solving this challenge. The final component of this is the follow-up. This is a stat that is an absolute true stat, okay? And this comes from all technology sales. I couldn't find it from all different types of sales, but 82% of deals lost. Now, in technology, we can imagine that's somewhere in the hundreds of billions of dollars left on the table. But in technology, 82% of deals lost is for lack of follow-up. What a dumb reason to lose a deal is a lack of follow-up, right? So, I usually follow what's called a 3-5-9 day follow-up plan. I learned this don't judge me, but when I came out of the Navy, I didn't know what I was going to do. And my buddy said, hey, why don't you sell cars with me, make some good money. So for 12 years, I sold cars. Don't hold that against me. But, when you're, man, I lost my train of thought on that. Okay. 3-5-9 day follow-up. What you want to do is you want to give people a little bit of time to have some grace. They obviously know they're busy, but you want to put on your task list, whatever you use, Notion, reminders, Google Tasks, whatever, 3 days to follow up. Okay. That follow-up, that initial 3-day follow-up is just a reinterest follow-up. Okay. That reinterest is, hey, Joan, just wanted to touch base with you and say, I've had some time to think about the position or whatever the case may be. And I'm really, really excited. I just wanted to reiterate that to you. Talk to you soon. Leave it alone. 5 days. The 5-day follow-up is the essential one because they're going to go, oh, man, Chris is reaching out to me again. I don't have any answers for you. No. You're going to find a periodical or anything that has to do with something that you both are tied to. Hey, this just came across my desk. I wanted to share it with you because I wanted to get your thoughts, and it directly talks about what we've addressed and what we've talked about. That's the informational follow-up. That one is, oh, that was nice. He just thought of me, and this is kind of something. What it does is it brings you back up into their mind because in that 5 days, we could have had another 250 applicants, right? So we want to raise ourselves back up to the top, okay? 9 days. If we get to 9 days and you haven't had a response from that person, nothing, ghosting, right? I need you to shut the door. Okay. You need to shut the door just for your own sanity, because if you're going to continue trying to get in touch with this company and they're not getting in touch with you after 9 days, you're going to drive yourself crazy. So it's called the close the loop email, and it's 9 days, no interaction. Closing the circle is the subject line. And I'll tell you why in a minute. You're going to reiterate, hi, Bill, hi, Joan. I haven't had a chance to talk to you, but I was really excited. Listen, I'm very sorry we had missed each other, but there's a lot of things going on in my life right now. And I just wanted to close this circle so that way it wasn't open-ended. Believe it or not, and I can't give you the reason why, but most of my clients, when they send the 9-day, get a response back. I don't know if it's FOMO. I don't know if people are going, oh my God, I forgot to reach back out to them. But whatever it is, you garner their attention. They reach back out and they say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, or I was on vacation. No, they weren't. That sets it back up again. And then you can reignite that and say, hey, I was really excited about this, and I wanted to close the circle just to make sure because things are going on. But because you're a target company, you got back to me, is there anywhere we go forward from here? Reset the cycle, 3-5-9 day follow-up. And that always works because it keeps you accountable, right? To make sure that you're still going for that job, but it also keeps you knowing that you're going towards a specific goal. Because after a while, just innately, you're going to go, all right, screw this. I'm not getting any answers from anybody, but it's still going to hang out there on your spreadsheet or your tracker. Move on. 9 days, nobody's getting back in touch with you. All right. All right. So that's follow-up. Onboarding. A lot of recruiters nowadays, or a lot of hiring managers, they're trying to put together a really good, positive onboarding experience. Okay. You're going to notice this, and this is kind of an after or a changeover for you when you get into your new job, because this is changing quite a bit. Onboarding doesn't look anything like what it used to. Here's your I-9, here's your W-4, here's your this, here's your that, fill out all these paperworks and send it on back. That's it. There is hundreds of millions of dollars being put into these talent development benefits that these companies are having, from typically Series C and beyond, all the way up to enterprise, because they have a little bit more money. They can start offering things to entice the right people in. So you're going to see all these different things of features and benefits and comp and payroll and all these things. Don't get nervous. They're all being written into policy, into a lot of the enterprise level companies, and they're starting to trickle down. So if you guys run into, Mark shut his camera off so he can yawn again. So if you run into something like that, just know that there's more than enough information out there to help you find the right benefits packages for you, because that's all going to change, and it looks very mishy-mashy. And I've just gone through some onboarding with some people now, and I'm like, what is this? This makes no sense. All right, so just to be aware that onboarding might look a little bit different, okay? But in the event, if you have experience and you're going into an onboarding situation, reach out to me. Just ping me on LinkedIn, and if there's any documents you're like, I don't know what this means, I'll be happy to walk you through them. It's not that big of a deal, okay? All right, final notes before I open it up for questions. I really want to get to you guys for questions on this. This category approach is a very 30,000-foot view of what active career transition looks like. But I wanted to give you guys at least something to think about and to frame in different areas of your job search, so you have some type of value that you can take away and go, okay, well, I'm in this category now, or I'm going through this step. If there's any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll answer any questions you have. The Work by Design program, that's brand new. So I'm piloting this program. The Work by Design program is going to do a couple things. It's going to help you to achieve a job that is going to give you that longevity of maybe 4.5, 6 years, or whatever the average is. We're trying to go above that average. But more importantly, it's about that professional branding, because that's a buzzword you're going to start to hear, because the personal branding is more of a lifestyle way of leading. It's more for your Instagrams or your whatever the case may be. Personal branding is missing the mark, because professional branding is how you show up to work. That's what's getting the job. All right. So Work by Design is going to help you develop that professional brand, codify it onto your LinkedIn profile, into your documents, your supporting documents, so that way you can monetize your skills too. That's where, Rahul was talking about in the beginning. I'm helping people now, especially with what we have available, to diversify their revenue streams. If you're a product manager or whatever the case may be, you can have your skill sets and build up this authority that's put out there that you can monetize. Even if it's a $19, here's a PDF or a booklet of all the things I learned in my career. There are people coming up behind you that for $19, $20, $30, they would view that as gold, because they don't know what you guys know. You guys all came up in your field and you forgot half of the stuff that these people want to know. So that's where Work by Design comes in. I'm going to show you how to get these things branded in your own skill sets. It builds upon your authority. It gets your increase when you get your offer letters higher, because now you're of a different authority bracket, and it gives you a way to monetize your skill sets. So if you get into this problem again, where there's a layoff, you've got money coming in. It's just smart nowadays. The 25-year career, collect a gold watch and go play golf somewhere, that was our parents and our grandparents' time. This is a different world now. And now with all the money spent on this AI, this is going to augment work in a huge way. But us old dogs that have been around for a while, we saw this before. We saw this in 2004 when social media came on and marketing teams changed. And we saw this in 1993 when everybody was getting Netscape discs in the mail. Remember that? And the internet was coming on. We've seen this before. So this is not something new to us. We just have to ground ourselves, bring ourselves back, and realize, okay, it's not about the job hunt. It's about me and my skills and what I can offer to the marketplace, meaning you. All right, with that, I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to hand it back over to Rahul if you guys have any questions.
Chris, I'm so amazed, and my notebook is filled up with all the notes I took. So I'm sure a lot of folks, and I see chat going up crazy here, that they might have a lot of questions. So I really appreciate you coming in here today and sharing all those gems. And I'm looking forward to learning from you more. So
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Anybody have any questions on that?
we'll stop recording and open up for Q&A.
Okay.
Thank you.